Hello aspirants, welcome to Rathod's IS Academy. Today in this lecture, we are going to see current affairs of 9th March 2022. So let's get started with our discussion and let us try to see the today's quote. Today's quote, it is again one motivational quote. So this quote which mainly says that never give up. Today is hard, tomorrow will be worse, but the day after tomorrow will be sunshine. Okay, so in these tough days of our UPSC preparation, yes, you will be feeling very hard today and you will be thinking today will be worse. But once the result of this UPSC will be coming and if you see your name in the final list, then that day you can see the sunshine. And whatever the hard work you did in these days of your UPSC journey, then you will forget that hard work and only you will be celebrating this success, right? So you have to never give up and you have to think that yes, I have to work hard today, then only I am going to see the success tomorrow. Now let us try to see the first topic. It is regarding tobacco product use. As you all know, we are facing now COVID-19 pandemic. And apart from this COVID-19 pandemic, one epidemic which is leading to increased number of killings across the world is this tobacco usage. So this tobacco will be used by, for example, using cigarettes, BDs, and even we are going for for example, some people they will go for chewing of tobacco as well. So because whenever we are taking this tobacco, it mainly contains some carcinogenic products in cigarettes. Okay, so because of these carcinogenic agents which are present in the cigarettes and even tobacco which mainly contains nicotine, so because of all these things that will have higher production, or we can say so these products which mainly leads to the cancers, especially in the throat and as well as in the lungs. So these are some important and common cancers that we can see in this tobacco using people, right? So here government which is mainly trying to decrease this tobacco usage. But how can we decrease this tobacco product use? So one important way forward which is given is we can impose high amount of tax. So whenever we are increasing high amount of tax, then that will lead to decreasing of affordability of this tobacco products, and finally that will lead to decrease in the usage of this tobacco products. So this is one idea which is mainly given, and now let us try to talk about this topic in a very great detail. So this article we can talk about this even in GS paper 2 under health, and we can also connect this topic with the GS paper 3 under economy, because we are going to talk about this GST, goods and service tax here, right? If you see here, okay, due to this COVID-19 pandemic, it became one of the very serious public health concern worldwide. And due to this COVID-19 pandemic, so there are number of people, for example, I can say 6 million people, they lost their life across the world, right? And another epidemic that we are facing is, so one of the silent killer that mainly killing the lives of people, so it is estimated 1.35 million Indians every year. They are mainly losing their life due to this tobacco usage. And if you see on average about 3,500 Indians, they die every single day due to this tobacco usage. It is according to some scientific studies. And it also comes at a heavy cost, because whenever there is increasing of deaths, for example, let us take there is a family. So in that family, whenever head of family, for example, father of that family, who mainly having the habit of taking this tobacco products, suppose let us try to see this example. So for example, this person who lost his life means, so this family, okay, so this family will enter into this financial crisis and there will be increasing of annual economic burden, right? So whenever any person who is losing his life, and what happened to that widow, okay, to that widow wife, government will be providing some support. And the students, for example, if this family will be having 2 or 3 children, they are going to schools or colleges, so for that children government will be providing some support. So in this way that will also lead to economic burden on that female who have to lead that family from now, and even that will also lead to economic burden on the government as well, right? So due to the deaths which are mainly caused by this tobacco usage or tobacco products, it will increase the economic burden on the country. So it will be about 1,77,340 crore to the country, and also we can see it is more than 1% of our gross domestic product of our country. And even though if you are comparing with this COVID-19 and this tobacco products related deaths, so this SARS coronavirus, it is a communicable disease. That means it can be easily spread from one person to another person. But these disease which are mainly caused by this tobacco products, it is non-communicable disease, right? So here we can take some solutions especially to decrease the death toll which is related to this tobacco usage or tobacco products. So research from many countries across the world, including India, they shows that price increase induces people to quit and to reduce tobacco usage. So whenever there is increasing of price of this cigarette or this tobacco products, yes, it will become not affordable or non-affordable for the people. So whenever it is becoming non-affordable, so people, they will try to decrease the usage of this tobacco products. And even whenever the cost is increasing means, it will also discourages non-users as well, mainly to getting into the habit of this tobacco usage, right? So in this way, how can we increase the price of this tobacco products? So first one here is we can impose high amount of taxation. So whenever the taxation is improving, it will be helpful for the generating of revenue for the government, and even it will mainly decreases or it mainly discourages people to use this tobacco product. And even if any new user want to make it habit, so that will be discouraging that new users as well, right? And if we are talking about taxation regarding this tobacco products, so we came up with this goods and service tax. Okay, goods and service tax, it is one of the indirect tax and it is a one nation one tax regime. So under this GST, we came up in the year 2017, there was no significant tax increase on this tobacco products. Okay, and it is also barring a minor increase in this national calamity contingency duty during our union budget 2021 as well. Okay, so here if you see, so because of this minor increase in this national calamity contingency duty on this tobacco products, which only had the effect of increasing cigarette prices by roughly 5%. So because of this, there is no much positive impact that is seen to discourage this new users or to decrease the use of this tobacco products. So we have lost an opportunity to increase this taxes under this GST on this tobacco products. So in short, there has been no significant tax increase on this tobacco products for 4 years. Okay, so since last 4 years, there is no proper increasing of taxes on this tobacco products that mainly seen here. So here, union government and many state governments, they use it to have some effect regular tax increase on this tobacco products. But what happened, recent studies which mainly shows that because of especially lack of tax increases over these years, so it mainly made tobacco products increasingly more affordable for the people, right? And this year union budget 2022 to 2023, it was an excellent opportunity for government of India to buck this trend. And if we are increasing this significant increase in the excise duties or this NCCDs on these tobacco products, then we can decrease or we can discourage the people to use this tobacco products, and we can increase this life of the people, and we can decrease the economic burden on our country. So whenever there is absence of the tax increase on tobacco, which has a potential reverse in the reduction of tobacco use prevalence, right? So this is about this topic. And if you see what can be this GST council can do now, so how this GST council should act now. So here in our union budget exercise, it is not only an opportunity to initiate tax increase on this tobacco products, and even this GST council that could raise either GST rate, or it can also increase compensation cess which is levied on this tobacco products, such that we can discourage the people to use this tobacco products and we can decrease the economic burden on our country. So first one here is we need to increase the tax, and under this GST regime we need to increase this GST rate on this tobacco products, and we need to increase this compensation cess which is levied on this tobacco products. So these are the three important things that we can do, and this is the gist of this topic. Now let's just try to see next topic, Actually, in yesterday's newspaper, I shown you one article regarding this India-China. India-China must take on board global currents could reshape ties. So what happened? Chinese foreign minister, he came up with a statement, right? Like Indo-Pacific NATO strategy. He talked about Indo-Pacific NATO strategy. So now let us try to see detailed analysis of that topic. So this will be important from our international relations, which mainly comes in the GS paper too. So now first let us try to see the context why it is in news. So China accused United States that it is trying to build Indo-Pacific NATO using Quad and its allies. Okay, so Chinese claim that US Indo-Pacific strategy, which is aiming to create an Indo-Pacific version of NATO. Okay, so here we are talking about Indo-Pacific version of NATO. So first of all, you know what is this NATO, right? That is not Atlantic Treaty Organization. It is a security pact which mainly come up by US and some countries of European countries and even some Western countries, and they formed this NATO, which is a military alliance which mainly formed during this Cold War times. So during the Cold War time, during 1960s, so there were two power blocks that emerged. On one side we have USA and one side we have Soviet Union, right? And USA, which came up with this military pact, that is a NATO, and USSR came up with another security pact that is called as Warsaw Pact. And what happened after once this NATO formed? So it started expanding this NATO. Okay, recently in 2020, also some member countries which mainly joined this NATO. And even if you're talking about Russia-Ukraine issue, so now Ukraine want to join this NATO. It is one of the key concern for Russia. So because of this, mainly to stop Ukraine to joining in this NATO, and it want to maintain some strategic distance between the rivalry, that is USA and as well as Russia. So it does not want Ukraine to join this NATO. So whenever Ukraine is joining with NATO, means NATO forces, they will come and they will station across this Russia-Ukraine border. Then this will be having a security threat for Russia. So because of this, it want to maintain some strategic distance. So here this Ukraine will be acting as a strategic distance between USA and as well as this USSR. So for this, Russia do not want this Ukraine to join this NATO forces. And in today's newspaper, first article, it is also talking about this compromise, which mainly talked about this Ukraine president, that is Zelensky. So we are going to discuss that as well, right? So if you are talking about some facts regarding this Quad, it is nothing but quadrilateral security dialogue. So in this Quad, we have 4 countries. India is part, Australia, US and as well as Japan. So these are 4 countries which part of this Quad, and all these 4 nations which mainly found a common ground of being democratic nations. So all these 4 countries are democratic nations, and these countries which mainly support the interest of unhindered maritime trade and security. So they mainly focus on maritime trade and as well as security. And these countries which they want to ensure is free, open, prosperous Indo-Pacific region. They want to achieve freedom of navigation in this Indo-Pacific region, because this Indo-Pacific region is very, very important, especially because most of the trade which mainly happens here. So in this Indo-Pacific region, we have number of important straits or important choke points like Strait of Malacca is there, Strait of Hormuz is there, Bab el Mandab is there. So these are some important choke points, especially they are very important for continuing of trade. So whenever in this Indo-Pacific region there is increasing of presence of China, means it will be having some effect on other countries which are adversaries of this China. So because of this, so this Quad which mainly formed, mainly its objective it is to ensure free, open and prosperous Indo-Pacific region. So apart from that, the idea of Quad, it was first mooted by Japanese Prime Minister, that is Shinzo Abe, in 2007. And finally in 2017, India, Australia, US and Japan, they came together and they formed this quadrilateral coalition. So if you see, this is our Indian Ocean and this is our Pacific Ocean. So this area which mainly comes under this Indo-Pacific region. So here we have Strait of Malacca, and here we have Bab el Mandab, here we have Strait of Hormuz. So these are 3 important choke points which are mainly seen in this region, and that will be very much helpful to connect this Indo-Pacific Ocean with this Mediterranean, and here we can connect Atlantic, right? So here we have European countries that will be connected through this straits, right? And most of the trade which is mainly happening through this Indo-Pacific region. And we also studied about shifting of power from Atlantic towards Indo-Pacific Ocean, and many countries in the West, they are mainly looking towards this Indo-Pacific Ocean now, because we have emerging nations. For example, Russia, China is there here, for example India is there here, and they are developing countries. And you can see that we are having Asia, it is a grouping, and we are having BRICS. Okay, so because of this rising of these countries which are present in this Asian part, so now the focus which had shifted from this Atlantic Ocean towards Indo-Pacific region. And you have to know what is the significance of this Indo-Pacific region as well, right? And if you're talking about what is the China concern regarding this Indo-Pacific Ocean, Indo-Pacific region, especially because of this Quad group and as well as AUKUS. Okay, so China equated Australia, USA, India, Japan, that is Quad grouping, with the Five Eyes Intelligent Alliance involving Australia is there, New Zealand, Canada, US, UK, and as well as AUKUS. Okay, so these are Five Eyes of Intelligence Alliance that mainly seen in this Indo-Pacific region. So if we're talking about AUKUS, it is a recently formed trilateral strategic partnership between Australia, UK, and as well as US. It is a defense pact between these three countries. And from the strengthening of these Five Eyes, then the Quad, which is mainly trying to put together AUKUS strategic partnership, and even it is mainly focusing to improve bilateral military alliances. So because of this, China claimed that the real goal of this Indo-Pacific strategy of USA, it is to establish NATO in this Pacific Ocean, that is Indo-Pacific Ocean. So this is the aim behind this USA. So this is the thing which mainly said by China. So if we are talking about Quad as an important or as an Indo-Pacific NATO, so some analyst which mainly says that now we can see Cold War like situation that already began between USA and as well as China. Okay, and China that mainly started to compare this Quad to a NATO group. Okay, but there are many differences between this Quad and as well as NATO. So NATO, it is a military alliance, but this Quad, it is not a military alliance, right? So the Quad, which mainly suggests an organization which mainly focusing on directly correlated with this Chinese continuous rise, Chinese expansionist aggressive policy or aggressive foreign policy of China. So after the border clashes with China, Chinese long-standing alliance with Pakistan, India has become more assertive and as well as more comfortable with being in a multi-aligned arrangement. So if you're talking about location of India, for example, let us see this as India, and here we have China, and here we have Pakistan, right? And here across this LAC region, we can see there is a long-standing confrontation which is happening across this line of actual control, right? And this mainly started in May 2020 onwards, and since May 2020 onwards, there is no complete disengagement or status quo that is mainly seen across this LAC region. And even we went for a number of rounds of talks between India and China also it does not lead a complete solution, or we can say like status quo across this region. And even China, which is having a good relation with Pakistan, and they are mainly coming with the CPEC, China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, and that is mainly passing through this Indian Pak occupied Kashmir. Actually, it is a disputed area between India and Pakistan, but how another country will come up with any infrastructure project in this disputed area? So because of this, India did not accept it for this CPEC, right? And India, which is coming up with some developmental projects across the border, it is a one cause of concern for China. So because of this, we are seeing military standoff across this LAC region since May 2020 onwards, right? So here with China we are having some issues across the border, that is called as border clashes. And even China, which is having a good relationship with Pakistan, on one side across LOC region, across the Kashmir issue, so we are having some issues with the Pakistan, right? So in this situation, India, it is a more assertive and as well as comfortable for being a multi-allied arrangement now, right? And other Quad countries, they also have some challenges and circumstances which are related to China. For example, Australia. So near Australia, there are very, very small islands which are present. So regarding that islands also, because of this Chinese expansionist policy, here Australia, which is also facing some concern. And if you're talking about Japan, Japan, it is extremely concerned about rising Chinese assertiveness in this East China Sea, for example, Senkaku Islands and as well as Diego Islands, etc. And if you're talking about USA also identified China as an adversary of the country, and even it entered into a trade war with China. So these are some challenges for other countries which are part of Quad with China, right? However, this Quad, it is not a military alliance, right? Unlike the NATO. So this is the one important example or important difference between this NATO and as well as this Quad you have to know. So NATO, it is a military alliance, but this Quad, it is not a military alliance. So this is one important difference that you have to remember. So finally, you know that this Quad, it is a very young and its future, it is uncertain as the future of all countries which are involved in their relationship with China. So this is about this topic. And now let us try to see next topic. It is regarding global stagflation. So this article which is regarding this Russia-Ukraine crisis and what will be the impact of this Russia-Ukraine crisis on global economy. So this topic, it is important from GS paper 3 under economy. So if you see context, you know that Russia-Ukraine conflict which is mainly going on and it is a third week. Okay, and it's the third week Russia invasion of Ukraine which mainly started. So because of this Russia-Ukraine issues, we can see some economic cost of conflict that is mainly seen in Europe and not only Europe. Because of this issue, we can see that will be having some negative impact on the economy of almost all the countries. And almost all the countries, they are now trying to come out of this economic crisis which mainly caused due to this COVID-19 pandemic. But now, due to this Russia-Ukraine crisis, it will be very difficult to come out of this economic crisis which mainly caused by this COVID-19 pandemic. So if you're talking about financial sanctions due to this Russia which mainly attacked Ukraine, so USA on one side and even other European countries and Western alliance, they started imposing sanctions on this Russia, okay, in retaliation of Russia attacks on Ukraine, right? So because of this financial sanctions which are imposed by USA and as well as some Western countries on Russia, so Russian currency which mainly decreased its value by 60% against dollar, right? And this war that also led to supply chain destructions, and as well as this sanctions will also increase the pricing of commodities as well. For example, wheat price which mainly increased, corn, metals like nickel, aluminium, palladium, and even crude oil and as well as natural gas price which mainly increased. And even the Brent crude oil price is also very much high. There is a 29% high which we are comparing with earlier. And even price of natural gas also had been risen sharply in Europe, because Europe, which is mainly dependent on Russia for this natural gas and as well as crude oil, right? And Russia supplies Europe about 40% of its gas requirements and even about 25% of its oil requirements and 50% of coal needs. So because of this decrease in the supply of these essential things which mainly affects energy security of Europe, and we can also see there is a high electricity cost in these countries, in this especially Eurozone as well. Okay, so because of this, whenever there is energy security which is happening or energy insecurity which is mainly seen, that will mainly affect the business, factories, etc. So because of this energy crisis, now factories which are going for manufacturing of any goods, then what happened, they have to increase their prices, and some companies, they will go for temporary shutdown of their operations. So because of all these things, now we can see inflation that mainly seen, especially in this Eurozone, about 5.8% of inflation that is mainly seen, and about 31% of rise in the energy prices that are seen here. And if you're talking about data which is released by IMF, International Monetary Fund, which mainly says that forecast for global growth in 2022, it is 4.4%, which mainly because of this Omicron variant. And because of this COVID-19, we also saw there is increasing of energy prices, supply chain disruptions, etc. And what happened due to this Russia-Ukraine crisis, we are not going to come out of this economic crisis which is mainly caused by this COVID-19 pandemic. And if you are talking about crude oil prices, now it is like it will cross about $180 per barrel. So as of now, it is like $140 per barrel. So whenever the crude oil price is increasing, then it will lead to increasing of overall cost of goods and prices in the market, and that will be leads to severe inflation. So whenever crude oil price is increasing, so if at all any country which is dependent on this crude oil on another country, then in that country wherever it is depending on other country for this crude oil, that will leads to import bill, and finally current account deficit will be very much high in those countries, for example India. So in this context, Indian policy makers, they need to bear the cost of lower revenue by cutting the fuel taxes. So here on the fuel in India, especially central government will be imposing taxes, and as well as state government will be imposing taxes. So here in this condition, especially to control inflation like situation in India, already we studied different CPI, WPI indices, which mainly says there is high level of inflation in India. So mainly to control inflation now, central government and state government, they need to cut the taxes here. So that will be helpful to control this inflation, and even that will be helpful for the progression of the growth. If this is not done, means we can see there will be rampant inflation in the country, right? So this is the gist of this topic. And now let us try to see next topic. Title says society free of caste discrimination will remain a distant dream, High Court. So this is the statement which is mainly given by our High Court, that is Delhi High Court. So here this article which is mainly talking about SC/ST Atrocities Act, Scheduled Caste, Scheduled Tribe, Prevention of Atrocities Act. So here we need to focus on this act. So if you are talking about untouchability, so we have one important right of our fundamental right which mainly talks about untouchability. So actually some of the fundamental rights, they are also having some support from this criminal codes, or some fundamental rights which mainly have some civil laws protection as well. So one such law is SC/ST Atrocities Act, right? So if you are reading this fundamental rights, so in that fundamental rights you will be coming across this SC/ST Atrocities Act. So even this point which is clearly noted in our Lakshmikant book as well. So actually this topic, it is important from our polity point of view, which mainly comes under GS paper 2. So now let us see this topic in a very great detail. So if you see the context of this article, which mainly says that Delhi High Court, which mainly observed that unless the provisions of this SC/ST Atrocities Prevention Act, they are enforced in their true letter and spirit, the vision of society free of caste-based discrimination will only remain a distinct dream. So actually our dream, it is to see a caste-based, society that should be free from this caste-based discrimination. So we can see this caste-based discrimination which will be the society which is free of this only when this SC/ST Atrocities Act which is mainly enforced. Actually recently on Mahashivaratri, that we celebrated on March 1st, one woman who is from this SC, that is scheduled caste, she is not allowed to enter into temple mainly to offer prayer on this Mahashivaratri day. So because of this, here what happened, we need to invoke this SC/ST Atrocities Act. So here this article that we can think about this even in our ethics dimension. So in tomorrow's lecture, I am trying to include one article, and through that article we are going to learn how to write these case studies also. So daily one article I will be taking from past examples, such that you will be in contact, or you will be in intact with how to write this case studies also, and this will be the best initiative, I think so, right? So from tomorrow onwards we are going to add that as well. So if you are talking about facts regarding this SC/ST Atrocities Act, so this SC/ST Atrocities Act of 1989, so it is an act of parliament which mainly enacted especially to prohibit discrimination against scheduled caste as well as scheduled tribe communities, and to prevent atrocities against them. So act is also against the recognition of depressing reality that despite undertaking several measures, so even the government which is taking number of measures, so despite of taking number of measures, so these people, this is a scheduled caste as well as scheduled tribe people, they are mainly continue to subjected to various atrocities by the upper class people. So this act has been enacted keeping in a view to express constitutional safeguards, so enumerated in this article 15, and article 17 which mainly talks about abolition of untouchability, and article 21 which mainly talks about right to life and personal liberty, right? And this SC/ST Act of 2018, which mainly amended, and in this amendment preliminary inquiry it is not must, and no prior approval is also required for appointing authorities for senior police officers to file FIRs in the case of atrocities on this SC/STs. Okay, so these are some important facts regarding this topic. And now let us try to see next article. Title says India, China to hold fresh round of talks. Okay, India, China to hold fresh round of talks. So you might be knowing about background. Across this India-China border, along this LAC, line of actual control, so we can see standoff which is happening across this border since April-May 2020 onwards. So that event also led to this Galwan Valley incident. So in this Galwan Valley incident, about 20 Indian soldiers, they lost their life, right? And till now we went for 14 rounds of talks, but there is no solution for this standoff, and there is no status quo that mainly established here, right? So now let us try to see this topic in a very great detail. So if you see context, it mainly says that India and China, they have mutually decided to hold a fresh round of Corps Commander talks, okay, and that is going to be held on March 11th. So after March 11th, we are going to see what will be the outcome of this talks. And if you see some details, it mainly says that on the two sides, from Indian side and as well as from Chinese side, they have so far went for 14 rounds of talks. And in these 14 rounds of talk, they saw some disengagement in northern and southern banks of this Pong-Yongso Lake area and Galwan Valley area and Gogra area. Okay, and both the sides now they will focus on achieving the resolution of balanced friction areas. Some friction areas that are still present, and they are going to talk about these areas in this coming meet. Okay, and they are going to talk about this patrolling point PP15 in Hot Spring area, and they want to talk about disengagement and even de-escalation efforts forward. So if you are talking about some important topics they are reluctant to discuss from Chinese side, here is India, which is mainly focusing for the comprehensive disengagement and as well as de-escalation in this eastern Ladakh region. So while China, it is very much reluctant, it is not at all ready for discussing the areas regarding Dipsang area and Demchok area here. Okay, so we need to see what will be the outcome of this meet after this March 11th. So now let us try to see next topic. Title says Bangladesh, India, Nepal to move ahead on this Motor Vehicle Agreement Pact. So it is talking about this Motor Vehicle Agreement Pact. So we need to focus on this actually. So this article is important from your GS paper to under IR. So actually this Motor Vehicle Pact, which mainly comes under this BBIN. Okay, BBIN. So BBIN is nothing but Bangladesh, Bhutan, India, Nepal. Bangladesh, Bhutan, India, Nepal. So you have to open the map and please try to locate where is this Bangladesh, Bhutan, India, Nepal located, and you have to see the boundaries of these countries as well. And you have to see, for example, let me give you example. So here we have our Nepal, right? So which are the rivers which are flowing between India and Nepal? For example, in India, in between this India and Nepal, what are the areas of concern? For example, here we have Bangladesh, right? So which are the rivers which are flowing in India and Bangladesh? And which are the areas of concern between India and Bangladesh? For example, we have Tisa river issue, right? And if you see regarding Bhutan, so why Bhutan which is not accepting for this Motor Vehicle Agreement Pact? So you have to know the reasons, okay? And here you have to know some important issues regarding the countries which are sharing boundary, and you have to know about what is the relevance of this BBIN now, and what are the advantages of this BBIN, and what are the concerns. Okay, so in this way you have to read this article in a comprehensive way, and this is your homework that you have to do it today, right? And now let us try to see context. If you see context, it mainly says that with Bhutan continuing to sit out this Motor Vehicle Agreement of sub-regional Bangladesh, Bhutan, India, Nepal, that is BBIN grouping. So in this BBIN grouping, they want to come up this Motor Vehicle Agreement. So let me explain you what is this Motor Vehicle Agreement. For example, let us take this is India, this is Bangladesh, right? And whenever we are going for exporting of anything for this Bangladesh, we will be using some cargo, or for example we can use some vehicles like trucks. For example, let us take we are using trucks, and this truck will be carrying this load of goods and it will be traveling to Bangladesh. So after reaching this border, it will be stopping, okay, at the border, and at the border the vehicle, the truck from this Bangladesh will be coming, and the goods will be unloaded from Indian vehicle and loaded in the Bangladesh vehicle, and they will be entering into the Bangladesh. The Bangladesh vehicle will be going into Bangladesh, right? So whenever we are having this motor vehicle agreement, so we will be giving the registration number, everything details regarding this vehicle to this Bangladesh government, and Bangladesh will be allowing our Indian vehicle to enter into the Bangladesh directly. Okay, so this is this motor vehicle agreement. Okay, so this is some brief idea. So now let us try to see some details. So if you see details, it mainly says that this BBIN meeting was first in such a person meeting that we are going to held. Okay, that we are going to held after this February 2020. So in this February 2020, we are in a condition like COVID-19 pandemic. So after that, we are going to have this first person meeting here, and in this meeting they are going to discuss about this motor vehicle agreement, right? And this motor vehicle agreement, which mainly talks about protocols on passenger and even cargo movement. And during this meeting, which mainly enabling this memorandum of understanding to be signed by India. Okay, so this memorandum of understanding to be signed by India, Bangladesh and Nepal, okay, for implementation of this motor vehicle agreement. Actually, this agreement which is mainly pending with this Bhutan had till now not finalized this thing, right? So whenever we are going for this operationalization of this motor vehicle agreement, by concluding this passenger and as well as cargo protocol, that will help to realize the full potential of trade and as well as people to people connectivity. That will helpful in trade and as well as people to people connectivity between these BBIN countries. And the original this BBIN motor vehicle agreement, which mainly signed by all the 4 countries in 2015 itself. But later on, Bhutan, which mainly focused on sustainability and even environmental concerns, and Bhutan, which mainly decided to not to endorse this plan. Okay, so this is about this topic, and now let us try to see what is this BBIN. BBIN motor vehicle agreement. So it is one of the landmark agreement which mainly signed by transport ministers of these BBIN countries in Bhutan on 15th June 2015. So as per this agreement, member countries, they have to allow vehicle registered in other countries to enter their territory. Okay, under certain terms and conditions, they can allow these other countries' vehicles into their country. And whenever the countries' vehicles are moving, the customs and as well as tariffs, they will be decided by the respective countries, and this would be mainly finalized by bilateral as well as trilateral forums. So if we are talking about what is the important objective behind this motor vehicle agreement, the important main objective it is to provide seamless people-to-people contact, and even that will be helpful for economic interactions, and this will facilitate the cross-border movement of people and as well as goods. And what will be the benefits? The first one is it will help for the movement of passengers and as well as cargo vehicles, and cargo vehicles do not have to change at the border, right? And will be also helpful for promoting safe and also economically efficient, environmentally sound road transport as well. So this is about this topic. And now let's try to see the next yesterday's questions. The first one is Mahalwari system. Okay, so with reference to Mahalwari system, consider the following statements. So local Jamindar was responsible on behalf of all peasants for the payment of land revenue. Yes, this is absolutely correct. And next one is the peasant was free to sell or mortgage land. Yes. And the system was implemented in the western parts of provinces like Punjab, right? So let me know in which area we have different permanent land settlement system. So here we can see this Mahalwar system in this western province, and in southern province and in the northern and northeastern areas, which type of land settlement system is there during this British times. So let me know in comment box. So correct option here is for all. And next question is regarding, consider the following statements regarding India's state of trade affairs in 18th century. So first one here is, there was a sharp decline in internal trade. At that time we can see a lot of amount of looting and foreign invasion. So because of this, trade mainly affected. Yes. And India remained the land of extensive manufacturers and became one of the main centers of the world trade industries at the dawn of 18th century. Yes, initially we were the good manufacturers and later on we became the raw material suppliers. So here option 3, both, it is a correct answer. And today's questions of the first one, it is regarding socio-cultural life of 18th century. So there 3 statements are given, you have to read and give me the correct answer. And next question is regarding subsidiary alliance. So even 2018 there was one question regarding the subsidiary alliance in your prelims. You can check it out, right? So these are the some important questions and try to answer these questions. So before seeing this newspaper PDF display, I want to make a small announcement. In Rathod's IAS, we came up with this mains answer writing practice course, and this course, it is absolutely very beneficial. It is also a very excellent course. So here we are providing you weekly targets of syllabus, so that we plan that in 1 year you are going to complete your entire GS1, GS2, GS3, GS4 along with essay writing practice and case studies practice as well. And this course is absolutely beneficial. Okay, and one more thing I want to say is, you are supposed to write one answer every day. We will be giving you question and there will be evaluation of your question, and we also provide you model answer and one-to-one mentorship. So this course is absolutely beneficial. And we in Rathod's IAS, we also came up with the pen drive courses of entire foundational course of 2023. And if you want to have a single subject also, we will be giving you pen drive course, and the cost is very much affordable, and we are covering each and every small subtopic in your syllabus, and we are discussing prelims and as well as means questions as well. So in this way, that will be helpful to improve your conceptual clarity, and you will be becoming expert or excel in that so and so subject for sure, right? And now let us try to see today's Hindu newspaper. So this is the Hindu newspaper, and the date here is March 9th, 2022, and the first topic is Ukraine drops pitch for NATO. So actually this article says that Zelensky, who is the president of Ukraine, he says open to compromise on the breakaway regions. So actually here Russia want one thing, that Ukraine should not join the NATO. So now because of these attacks which are happening, so it will be having some impact globally, not only on Ukraine and Russia. So because of this, finally here Zelensky, he mainly said that he is ready for compromise. And next topic is regarding all international flights to resume from March 27. So what happened since March 2020 onwards, government which mainly announced a ban on international flights due to this COVID-19 pandemic, and from March 24th onwards, pan-India lockdown which mainly imposed, and from March 25th, domestic flights that mainly restarted. And in July, India enters into air bubble agreements with other countries like France, Germany and as well as US. And in November, government announced the resumption of international flights. And later on, what happened because of spreading of this Omicron variant, and they went for suspension, and finally now international flights, they are going to resume from March 27th onwards. So you can go through this article, right? And there are not much important articles in these papers. And now let us directly go to the state related paper. Okay, so in this state related paper, I saw one article. So most of the articles are regarding this women empowerment, gender equality, because yesterday was International Women's Day, right? So women seek regular job, respectable wages. So it is regarding Anganwadi and as well as Asha workers rallies. And here you can see Delhi government to focus on early childhood education. So actually in our national education policy, they mainly focused on this early childhood education. So we can connect this article with NEP, right? And next one is society free of discrimination will remain a distant dream. So I discussed this topic, right? And if you see further, okay, further here you can see installing of electric vehicle charging stations. Okay, so now this electric vehicles is seen highly in news, and if we want to achieve this carbon neutrality, we need to focus on technology, and not only bringing this electric vehicles, we need to focus on these charging stations as well. So you can see what are the features that are given here that will helpful to get some education or knowledge regarding this electric vehicle charging stations. And if you say this page number 8, there is nothing much important, right? And if you see the next paper, it is our editorial page. I discussed most of the editorials. One article I didn't discuss regarding this Russia and Ukraine conflict. So you can see that article. We had a number of discussions regarding that topic, and I discussed this India-China issue. I discussed this global stagflation because of this Russia-Ukraine, and I discussed about this tobacco products. And there is one article which I found very much interesting here is debunking an urban myth about this Taj Mahal. So actually this Taj Mahal which mainly built by Shah Jahan, you know, right? So this article says that after once this Taj Mahal was built, so this Shah Jahan, he mainly ordered his workers to cut all the workers who worked in this project. So actually I too believe that whenever in my school days my social sir also said about this, right? But this article which mainly says that there is no historical records to prove that Shah Jahan ordered the hands of workers to be chopped off. So you can read this article, and here you need to focus on this Taj Mahal. So this will be important from your art and culture point of view. And next topic it is regarding China's takeaways from the war. So this article which is mainly talking about developments in this Russia-Ukraine war and what are the challenges, okay, and what will be the outcomes of the China. So already we discussed this topic, and you can go through that and you can easily understand that. And if you see this page, that is news page, here you can see one article regarding India-China to hold fresh round of talks. Already I discussed that topic, right? And if you see further in this 14th newspaper, you can see this motor vehicle agreement pact. I discussed that. Yes, and if you see this world page, here you can see Biden bans Russian oil imports to US. So already these US and as well as European countries, they imposed sanctions on this Russia, and even they mainly banned Russia from this SWIFT, right? SWIFT messaging system as well. So now again one more round of sanctions. For example, we can say like Biden, he also banned the import of all Russian oil, gas and energy, okay, because of Russia which is mainly attacking Ukraine, or Russia's invasion on Ukraine. Actually US which mainly imports about 8% of its total volume of crude oil, and as well as it will be importing like crude oil and as well as gas from Russia. So now it is also banned here. So because of this we can see there might be increasing of crude oil prices, right? And you can see here Imran, he is from Pakistan, right? Pakistan's prime minister, he faces no confidence motion. So if you talking about this no confidence motion, in our polity there is one chapter which mainly talks about this no confidence motion. So this might be a prelims question. So you have to know what is no confidence motion. So already in our prelims, polity lecture series of Lakshmikant, I detailedly discussed about what is this no confidence motion. So please try to revise that no confidence motion, and please let me know what is this no confidence motion in the comment box. And here you can see one more article, that is COVID claims 6 million lives worldwide. So due to this COVID-19 pandemic, so one research by AFP which mainly says that about 6 million people they died because of this COVID-19 throughout the world. And if you see in this business newspaper, you can see wide range of articles because of this Russia-Ukraine crisis. So it mainly talking about what will be the impact of this crisis on economies. So first one is oil price increase will certainly impact on economy. Okay, so due to this Russia-Ukraine issue, now the barrel price of this crude oil which is very much high. So whenever there is increasing of oil prices, that will be having negative impact on entire economy. There will be increasing of price of goods and services, that will lead to inflation. And if you want to recover from this COVID-19 impact on economy, so here further that this oil price will be leading to still economic crisis of the countries. And next one is Brent crude surges as US which mainly bans Russian imports. So because of this Russian oil which is mainly imported by US which mainly banned this Russian oil imports. So because of this further there will be increasing of prices of this Brent crude. And next topic it is about ICRA sees serious downside risk of growth. And we can say due to this oil crisis and due to this Russian-Ukraine crisis, there is increasing of commodity prices, and further it will lead to CAD, current account deficit. So let me know what is this current account deficit in comment box. And last topic of the day, it is like India's diamond industry may lose sheen on conflict. So actually we are going to get this raw diamonds, especially from this Russia's biggest diamond miner, that is Alrosa suppliers. So due to this Russia-Ukraine conflict, we are going to get less diamonds from this Russia. So because of this, it is also going to impact our diamond industry. So even we are facing some problem regarding the payment issue, because Russia, it is mainly kept outside of the SWIFT, right? So this is about this topic. And in Rathod's IAS, we are providing wide range of courses like different subjects of Indian economy, history, geography, polity, ethics, international relations, like that. So if you want to take any course, you can go to our website. There you can click on course list and you can see the wide range of courses there. Okay, so if you want to talk to me directly regarding any courses, you can call on this number 8074765513. So by this I am concluding. I hope you enjoyed this lecture. Please subscribe to Rathod's IAS Academy and don't forget to like, share and comment my videos. Thank you so much.